Roadblocks in general will always be making sure that while you're providing an excellent education, that you're fiscally responsible to your community. So it's finding that sweet spot where teachers are compensated well and they're compensated in a manner that is reflective of the surrounding communities, and then making sure that you're fiscally efficient so that you're responsive to your taxpayers. In Georgia, we are funded through state funds and then local property tax. And so a huge responsibility to your community to be spending tax dollars well. And so I think it's not a roadblock, it's just an ongoing responsibility, and then to be really transparent about what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my special guest today is Dr. Kathleen Truitt. Kathleen is the superintendent at Lee County School District, and that's in Leesburg, Georgia. Kathleen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Awesome. So, Kathleen, tell our visitors a little bit about you and your journey to be a superintendent, and then give us a little bit about Lee County.
Well, first of all, I think at my heart of hearts, I'm a teacher. I spent 13 years in the classroom, and so I have never not considered myself a teacher. From teacher, I moved on and took a leadership role as an assistant principal, opened a new school. That is clearly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and it will happen once in my lifetime because that's the biggest thing I might have ever done. And from there, became an elementary principal, a middle school principal, and then district leadership in the area of teaching and learning. And then my journey took me to superintendency, and I am finishing my third year here in Lee County, Georgia. And it was one of those things that I think you get put in the right place at the right time, and through mutual acquaintances, someone said, "Hey, have you thought about Lee County?" And my first reaction was, no, not really. And they're like, "I think it would be a good fit." And indeed it has been. And it's been a great journey here for the last 3 years.
Awesome. That's fantastic. I love the nothing against male superintendents, but it is a male dominated industry. So I'm always excited when I see, because the industry itself, teachers in general, with a female dominated industry, but then when you get to that level, it seems to be a male dominated. And so I'm always excited when I see females who have gotten to that level. So congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about Lee County School District.
So Lee County School District is a rural school district in southwest Georgia. We are right, if you know Georgia at all, we're right between Albany and Americus. We are a bedroom community to the greater Albany area. And so we have a lot of agriculture and then a lot of housing. And I think we're a little bit of an anomaly in what people kind of consider about rural school districts. We're actually a pretty high performing school district in the state of Georgia. We're usually within that top 15% of all school systems in terms of overall performance. And so there is a deep and long history of a value of education here that you don't always find everywhere. So just one of those special places. When I first got here, I asked the board, I said, would you like to stay the best kept secret in Georgia, or would you like for people to know that we're here? And the response is, I think we're ready for people to know that we're here.
Ah, nice. Very nice. Very, very nice. And so the district itself, what is the population like? And I'm assuming you're TK to 12? I'm guessing, but
we're pre-K.
Pre-K.
I'm 12, and we have just shy of 6,000 students here.
Bigger district. Yeah, that's nice. That's really nice. So when you say bedroom community, so there's no major industry there. It's all agriculture and people commuting to work?
That is correct. The school system is the largest employer in the county. And so
Wow.
we're a county school district. There's no city systems. And so, yes, at about 1,000 employees, we are the largest by far employer in the system.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, I love that. So lot of pride in the community. Awesome.
We're a one high school, school system, which is, the difference between one and multiple. So on any given night, if there's a school event, we have a lot of community buy-in in that event, so
Mhm, mhm. I bet Friday night football's a blast at your school.
we might do pretty well in that football arena. We're pretty good, athletic school as well as academics, so and fine arts as well. So it's one of
Yeah.
those, we are successful in all areas, and that is a great testament to our teachers and our kids and our families.
Yeah, awesome. So tell us a little bit about your philosophy and how you lead and how that has impacted the school. Because you've been there for 3 years, so you have that tried and true time to know what you're doing. So that's awesome. So tell us a little bit more about that.
I think my philosophy really centers about around what happens between the student and the teacher in the classroom. And then the rest of the work is built around to make that possible. So district leaders are crucial and important because they set the conditions to make sure that that teaching and learning can take place. And then really focusing on valuing exceptional practice in the classroom is a big it's really important to me. And when it's not there, making sure that we develop that. And then relationships with your community, being open, transparent, and making sure that what we're doing is visible, because every parent and every community member can't be in the classroom. So, one of
Right.
my big focuses since I have been in Lee County has been really centered around communication, making sure that we are celebrating the wins, making sure that we're telling the stories that are there, because if we're not telling them, nobody is. In an environment right now where public education is a little bit, not just a little bit, but,
I was going to say,
we're
not just a little bit.
we are
Yeah.
under the microscope, and if
Yeah.
you are not really
For
being
sure.
active in communicating what you're doing, how you're doing it, and why you're doing it, you're really someone is gonna tell your story. So, it can be you or it can be somebody else, but if you're
Hmm.
not telling it, the story's still being told, and so we've really focused on telling our own story and celebrating the incredible work that's happening in our classrooms.
Yeah, and you told me before we started that you guys actually do your own blog or your own podcast.
We do. No, we are not professionals, so we say that. But it was really about having another avenue to highlight the great work that teachers and students are doing. So we've
Hmm.
featured students on our episode, teachers on our episodes. We've done all kinds of community collaborations where we've talked about school safety and just it really gives us a really fun avenue to have additional communication that you can't just you're not gonna just see on social media or you won't see in something printed, so
Neat. Yeah, I love
thank
the fact that there's multiple avenues because, as you and I both know, not everybody learns exactly the same. I'm much of
no.
more of an experiential and visual learner than I am. My husband loves to laugh at me. He's like, they might as well not even send you the instructions because you're not going to look at them because
It's funny
I just don't learn that way.
it's funny that you say that. The first thing when I got to Lee, I walked in the office, it's a big office, and I said, "Where's the whiteboard?" And they're like, "Whiteboard?" I said, "How do you guys solve problems? Like, you need a whiteboard." So, it was my very first purchase was a whiteboard for, the offices, and we definitely have put it to good use.
Yeah. And that's your style and it's how your brain is wired. And we know especially my husband because we're a family business. So he's
Yeah,
my CTO
okay.
and we do not think alike at all. And so so when there's an issue or something and our 28-year-old daughter also works for us, she kind of becomes the liaison between the two of us because
Wow.
we're also married. We've been married
Yeah,
for 30 almost 30 it'll be 31 years in April.
yeah,
And so there are things that, you pick your battles sometimes when you're
yep,
married. And I know that this thing needs to be happening, but I can't communicate it in a way that he's going to get from me. And she picked up on that early on. And so it's like, so when we're doing something, and it's like, okay, so she'll come to me and she'll be like, okay, what do we need it to do, mom? What's it, what is the thing that whatever it is, because he's a programmer and he gets the technological side of it. And
yeah.
and I try to tell him and he's like, but you're not giving me every step. And I'm like, yes, I am. And so it doesn't work. So we just go. And so we found a balance. That's,
Yeah,
I think
nice.
sometimes you just have to find a balance. So, so you talked a little bit about, liaisons, partnerships. Can we delve into that a little bit? I'd love to hear the kind of partnerships in your community that you've developed for your kids.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's one of the strengths that we have in our school system. I'll give you a perfect example. This summer, I have a great relationship with my emergency management uh, person in the district. And, my phone blew up and it's Cole. And I'm thinking, the weather looks great. I haven't heard any bad weather. What are we doing? And he said, Hey, we need a little bit of help. And I said, Okay, what are we talking about? He also is the assistant fire chief. When you're in a small place, you wear lots of hats. He's like, "We really have a shortage of firefighters. We wanna talk and see if there's a way that we can collaborate on this and make it a win-win for your kids and for us." And so we sat down and got all the powers at be, around my conference room table, and we walked out of that with an agreement that our local fire department and the fire trainer will come in and teach courses in our high school with for seniors. We'll have 15 seniors that will participate next year, and upon their 18th birthday, they'll take their fire exam, and they will graduate from high school as fully certified firefighters. Um,
Nice.
really, a really respected career, and we are investing in 15. Our local fire department needs 6. And so then we're also then contributing to surrounding counties as well. And in the second year, my juniors who start the program will be EMT firefighters. And so they will graduate with highly coveted certifications that lead to career paths that they can do as a stopgap. Hey, I want to be a firefighter while I continue my education, or I'm really invested in this as a career, as a my all-in career, and will then have opportunities that way as well. And so that's just one example of some of the partnerships that we have formed, but a really good one. And I think we are responsive as a school system. I've always said that a school system should be a reflection of the hopes and dreams of a community. And
Yeah.
so some of the hopes and dreams of our families here are that kids have places to come back to or to stay. And so we want to make sure that we create those as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, what did the kids have to do to be? Because you said you've got 6,000 kids. How do you whittle it down to 15?
I think you look at interest first, and
Mhm.
anytime something's new, success breeds success. So when they
Mhm.
see their friends become firefighters, we may have a bigger interest, but we're looking at a cross between, we already have a career technical pathway for law enforcement.
Oh, okay.
So it would be students who have completed those beginning courses in that pathway would be eligible, and we'll do a lottery if we have more than the 15 who are
Ah,
interested.
okay. Awesome. That's really great. And then, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges, and how are you working to overcome those?
I think challenges in general or
Just
really
whatever,
okay.
whatever you want to talk
I
about. I mean,
think
I'm not like, I think every
no.
district has their challenges. Maybe it's financial, maybe it's I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just
okay.
curious. Yeah.
I think right now challenges are, some of our bigger ones. We are never going to sleep, until we have as many students reading on grade level as we humanly can.
Literacy. Yeah.
We're about of my 11th graders, I have about 94% that are reading on a high school level. Not quite on grade level, all of them, about 80% are on grade level, but we have about another 14% that are reading on a high school level, but not quite there.
Mhm.
I think that that is something that it's not just something that we're trying to do. That is a commitment that we owe children that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and so that is something that I wouldn't say it is a roadblock, but it's something we're continually to work on. Roadblocks in general will always be um, making sure that while you're providing an excellent education, that you're fiscally responsible to your community. So it's
Mhm.
finding that sweet spot where teachers are compensated well, and they're compensated in a manner that is reflective of the surrounding communities. Um, and then making sure that you're fiscally efficient so that you're responsive to your taxpayers. We are in Georgia, we are funded through state funds and then local property tax. And so a huge responsibility to your community to be spending tax dollars well. And so I think it's not a roadblock, it's just an ongoing responsibility. And then to be really transparent about what you're doing and how you're doing it.
We all feel it. Students are struggling more than ever with emotional and behavioral challenges. Lighthouse Therapy offers virtual, hybrid, and in-person behavioral and mental health support that builds around your school environment. Our licensed professionals are trauma-informed, experienced, and trained to work with K-12 students and staff. You don't get a cookie-cutter approach. You get a partner who listens, adapts, and builds trust. Because when students feel safe and seen, they thrive. Learn how you can get support at your school at lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together. Yeah. Excellent. And that's part of what I think, for me, Brighter Together is all about, is giving schools an opportunity, superintendents and special education directors and people that are in those kinds of leadership roles, to talk about the amazing things that you guys are doing. I mean, and one of the things that, and you just proved it to me again, and I've seen it again, is education is no longer sitting in a classroom, making sure you get your credits and graduating.
No,
Yeah, it's really
it's
become, go ahead. No, you say it.
No,
Absolutely.
it's really become more than that, and I think we see that through the number of students that are participating in work-based learning. We see that in internships um, that our students are participating in. We see that in the willingness of our community partners and businesses that within Lee that are stepping up to the table to make and to continue to provide those partnerships. But then we're also seeing that we really believe in opportunities. So I just talked about the ability to be a firefighter, but I'm also looking at consistently year after year, we're sending our top 10% to really high quality, top tier universities. And so the goal of the school system is making sure that every child has a spot and a place to be successful in an area in which interests them. And so whether that's full theater productions every year or whether that's band or music or technology, wherever that fit is. And I will say that's a challenge,
Yeah.
being something for everybody and having a little bit of everything for everybody is a tricky business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it seems to be the direction that education is going. And, for all of my career, IEPs, individualized education
Yeah.
plans for
Yeah.
students with special needs, that has always been the pathway for them. Let's find something, and let's not have them be in their 13th year be the couch, after they
Right.
graduate from high school.
Right.
We don't want that for them. And there's lots of really amazing things that are happening in that. But I've seen that shift too into, let's do individualized education, not necessarily there's lots of different plans. We're not going to call it an IEP, but for our Gen Ed students, the Gen Ed students are getting pathways based on where their interest is and based on where they're gifted and what makes them tick, right?
Yeah.
So that they can go on and be productive members of society. And that story's not being told. And that's why Brighter Together is here, because there are so many things that are happening in education, and all you hear in the media, and here's me getting on my soapbox because it aggravates me,
Okay.
is the bad. Is
Yeah.
the crazy teacher that did the crazy thing, and the media loves to take a blanket and put that over every single teacher in the entire United States, which is so incredibly unfair to do. And most of the times when it's a crazy teacher, the school is dealing with that crazy teacher before it even
Yes.
makes the media. So,
Right.
giving superintendents and giving special education, and my heart is special education. It always will be.
Yeah.
You said you're a teacher at first, always. And I may
Always.
be an entrepreneur and a CEO and all of those things, and a podcast post, but first and foremost, I will always be a speech language pathologist because I have been. Oh, that makes
Yeah.
me teary because I love the kids and I love what I do. And those kids have to come first before we do anything else. We have to consider where what we're doing. And you guys are. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. You guys put and you said that from the beginning. We put the teachers and the students in their relationship and getting them what they need. It's beautifully said. So very exciting and so good to see. And I want that for you guys as well to be able to tell that story. And you are. So congratulations. Keep it up. I love
Thank
it.
you.
And I will get off of my soapbox now.
No, you're good. You're good. I think you mentioned, roadblocks. Another thing that is, and I think this is pervasive across the country, is that sweet spot for technology.
Mhm.
Where is it beneficial, and then where does it cross over into detrimental? And we're seeing, and right now we're navigating all kinds of research that's coming out about where is technology beneficial, and then where does it maybe hinder learning and growth. And so that's something that, along with the challenges that come with students with devices and social media and all of the social emotional fallout that happens, you
Mhm.
take adolescence and you throw in social media and all the feedback, whether it's desired or undesired, that they get from those experiences, and then we put that into school. And that has definitely been some challenges for us as well as everybody else. And then trying
Mhm.
to find the space where technology is a win and not a detriment. And
Yeah.
so, there we are. And and then AI has entered in full force on the scene, and so
And it's not going away. It's definitely
no.
not going away. And it's just getting stronger. I mean, they're just, I was listening to the radio this morning. My husband and I both had appointments. And so I was like, one car, let's just go together. And then you can pick me up when you're done. And it was fully human. I mean, like you hear that on the radio, we're fully human. And it's like, I didn't really process that. And today it hit me. I was like, oh, they're saying that they aren't using AI is what they're
Right,
and it just is it's fascinating because it's getting to the place where AI can do some of that stuff. And we've got stuff going on here in Lighthouse with AI and it's exciting and it's innovative, but it's also intimidating because I'm like, I want to make sure we do it right, and our whole thing is always, is it HIPAA compliant and FERPA compliant? If it's not, we're not doing it. It's got to
right.
be, because that's the bottom line. We have to be compliant with what's happening. But it's just it's and the other thing I was going to say that before I got off on that tangent was, as an SLP, and you talked about the way that we're communicating and the way the kids are doing social media and all that. It's a breakdown. It is a total breakdown in communication because when you
Agree.
send a text, the only thing you see is the words on the screen. You don't get
Right.
the intent, you don't get the tone, you don't get the body language, you don't get any of that. So, a text and my husband, he's so funny. He's just like, okay. He doesn't
Yeah,
text. He's like, and we
yeah,
laugh. It's like, what did dad say? Okay. If he says something other than okay, we're like, wow, dad said something besides okay on a text
right.
because he just doesn't communicate that way. That's not, but so there's a true breakdown in communication for these kids and how they develop communication because of social media and the next like and the next hit and it's kind of heartbreaking. It really kind of is. So
It is. And then, what are we lean in, and what can we do to prepare them to use it in a smart way? How do you
mhm.
get kids to still critically and creatively think and use technology to create rather than just consume? And so we'll continue to look for that balance. And I think there's been some interesting legislation for us in Georgia and some other places, limiting device use, at least personal devices. We were already there, and so, I think it's just, again, it's not going away, so how do you use this in a positive way rather than, I mean, fighting it, I think
Productively.
it's past that point, so
Mhm.
fighting it is not productive, but
No.
figuring out a way to use things and harness things in the right way, I think that's the direction that we're looking at going.
And I love that because schools are it's changing so fast. It's just changing so incredibly fast, and you have to be thinking on your feet and excuse me, and just dealing with it. So, anyway, that's a great conversation, but boy, we could really go down a rabbit
Yeah.
hole there, couldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
So so tell everybody, where, Kathleen, do they go to find out more about you and maybe about a little bit more about um, Lee County, School District?
So if you're interested in Lee County School District, obviously our website, and I can give you that if you wanted to post it. It's
Sure.
lee.k12.ga.us. I had to think about that and make sure I got it
That's all
right.
right.
And I think that's a great place to start. And then social media. So we are on Instagram. We are still on Facebook because we have a strong following on Facebook.
Mm.
I think some of your communities where some of your more experienced community members still operate in that Facebook space. And so we definitely have a strong following there. Our podcast is available. It's Let's Talk Lee. It's on Apple and Spotify. So can you find us there? So I think that would give you about probably all you would want or need to know about Lee County, Georgia. So
Awesome. Well, Kathleen, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on Brighter Together. Thank you so much for your insight, for your passion and love for the kids. It's very evident that you are an amazing superintendent, and it's been an honor to speak with you today.
well, thank you for hosting, and I appreciate your platform and your voice in this community. Thank you.